Hello everyone. I hope everybody is doing great. Stay home, stay safe. If you want to know like what is the interview process at L and T Infotech, or if you want to know like what kind of interview questions you want to brush up before interview with L and T Infotech, so this video is for you. So in this video, I'll be sharing the interview process that I have underwent at L and T Infotech, and at the same time I'll be sharing the interview questions which I have encountered in the interview. I hope this video would be helpful for you. Uh, so firstly, I would like to discuss about the interview process here. So I got a mail from one of the recruiting firm, in which there were few questions in the mail like what all technologies I have, like what is the experience on particular technologies. So I have replied back to that mail. Unfortunately, an interview was scheduled for me on one of the weekend. So coming to the interview rounds, there were two technical discussion rounds. So in the first technical discussion round, the interviewer mostly concentrated on the core Java side, like OOPS concepts, collections, exceptions, threading, multi-threading. So these were the concepts which were mostly asked in the first round, and in the second round, it was completely like there were few questions on core Java side, but most of them were from Spring and Spring Boot. Then followed by a manager round, and then I got a call from HR whether I am accepting the offer or not. So before starting the interview, I would like to give a quick introduction of ourselves. We are basically typically a bunch of software engineers who are attending the interviews and sharing our real-time interview experiences through these videos. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to catch all the updates. So first, like there were firstly I would like to share the generic questions which were common in the both the rounds, like both the technical rounds. Like these are the list of questions like we which were common in both the rounds. Like tell me about yourself, what are your day-to-day activities, how much do you rate yourself in the technological stack that was present on my resume, explain your project architecture. And while I was explaining my project architecture, there were cross questions like who are the end customers of your application, or who were the end users of your application, how are you validating your users, have you used Spring Batch, what benefit it has added by using Spring Batch, and why have you people went for MyBatties when connecting to the DB. So these were few generic questions, like common questions in both the rounds. So coming to the specific questions about the rounds, so let us start. So firstly, the question was like, explain how do you validate users in your applications. So we use JWT token. So I have explained him in detail like how whenever a user is validated, how a JWT token is uh, generated, and what we are doing with that. So in detail, I have explained him like based on JWT token and LDAP validation, LDAP authentication, and JWT authorization. We validate the users in our application. How do you create a cache in your application? So we have used JBoss here. So JBoss JDG servers, and we are using JBoss cache in our application. So I have explained him like how we have configured and how we are making use of it. Why do we create jars? What benefit it adds? It was a very common simple question. So I have explained to him like in which scenarios I will create jar, in which scenarios I will create war, and what are its own benefits, like why creating jar, what specification we are achieving there. So I have explained him there. So the next question was what is encapsulation, how do you achieve it. So typically encapsulation is, in simple words I would say, like binding up of data like methods and variables together is known as encapsulation, and we achieve it by declaring private variables and public setters and getters. So this was a very simple question as well. So next question was like he asked me to explain the entire thing like JDK, JRE, JVM, JIT. He was asking me the all questions like, and then this question popped up like what all do we need to run Java application. So basically if you are having JRE installed, that is enough to run Java applications. So I have explained him the same. Explain the singleton design pattern in detail. So I have explained him like what benefit it adds on, like in which scenarios we should go for singleton design pattern, or in which scenarios we should go for static classes as well. write a code to solve producer consumer issue. So he was expecting me to write a code using multi-threading. Here there is a list of two things like producers and consumers. Once all the what we say produced things are consumed, only then we need to start again production. So this was a pretty, typical question which was given to me. We can find a number of solutions in the online as well for this. So then what advantages collection add to Java? So I have explained in detail like what all benefits we do get from collections. So why collections play a prominent role in Java here. So in explaining the entire hierarchy of collection as well. So what all collections have you used or worked? So I have used like array list, array list, concurrent hash map, hash set, and in one scenario we have used linked list as well. So I have explained in all the things like what I'll have hands-on experience. So in what scenario I will go for what. So next question was, he was asking me to write a code to override hash code and equals methods, and he was simultaneously asking me like what will happen if we don't properly override the hash code method or equals method as well. So next question is like what is the advantage of methods in interface? So I have my own explanation like what benefits it adds on to have a methods in interface. Then explain switch with string, what benefit it is providing. So most of you must be aware of this, like I believe it is from Java 1.7 from where a string is being allowed in the switch case. So what benefits it provides, like why it came into picture, everything I have explained him in detail. Then was the question like how try with resource work internally. So to use try with resource, the thing like file writer or object writer, whatever we are using in the try, should implement the auto closable interface. This is the key interface that needs to be implemented. Only those classes which implement auto closable interface can work with the try with resource. What all exceptions we need to handle and why? So this was a very simple questions, like we need to handle checked exceptions, and we cannot handle like unchecked exceptions. Explain how to create a custom exception. So explain him in detail like like how can we create an exception class by extending the exception class. How can we create exception class, custom exception class here? Can we access static methods using null references of the class? So maybe beginner level of developers may think that null pointer issue may come up, but we can access static methods from null references as well. How do you find the given number is the highest number or not in the array? So I was given an array. Typically it was not a sorted array, so ask me to write a code how to find that whether the given number is the highest number or not. So written in the best possible way I could do at that moment. So I was a bit impressed as well there. So the next question was the continuation of the previous question as well. So the same question continued like how to find the given number is the first highest or second highest or third highest, like at what position, like what position it ranks in the array. So that was the question. So even this was a bit simple question only, I would say. On what all modules of Spring have you worked? So I have explained given him the list of modules that I have worked. So then there was a few questions on few of the modules, like what have you used in that module, what specific thing you have done in that module, how you have configured that module. So those kind of questions were asked. Then asked me to explain the IOC. So explain in detail like what is IOC, inversion of control. So what benefits it adds on, like there was a few questions on that also, like what is auto wiring. So the next question was this. So explain in detail like what is auto wiring, what benefit it is adding, or what all annotations we can use if we like what basically there was a question like what is auto wire, when can we use qualifier, such thing questions were there on this. So the next question was, what is the difference between concern and cross-cutting concern in Spring AOP? So I have given a hint also here. So concern is behavior which we want to have in a module of an application, and coming to cross-cutting concern, it is a concern which is applicable throughout the application or more than one module. So asked me to explain like what is the difference between different types, what are the different advice types in Spring. So I have given the list here as well, like before advice, after returning advice, after throwing advice, after advice, around advice. So next asked me to explain what is Spring AOP proxy. So tried my best to explain this. To be honest, I was not that good at explaining this. So then the next question was explain joint point, explain point cut, explain what is weaving. So I have explained in detail like what are these three things. So the next question was what is the difference between Spring AOP and Expect-J AOP. So I listed out all the differences between these two. Then there was a question from Spring Boot like what makes Spring Boot special, and there was a continuation question like write a he was expecting me to write a standalone Spring Boot application as well. Then the question was the differences between @controller and @rest controller. So explaining in detail like what are the differences and what benefits @rest controller adds. Explain how transaction management works in your application. So we have used Spring transaction management only in our application. So explain him the same. So he was asking me at what level we need to add, like whether in the BO or DO, where you will add the transaction management logic as well. Then the question was, when do you use @qualifier? So I have already discussed this. So in the Autowiring section itself, he asked me this question. So these were the typical questions that I would say I have encountered in both the technical round. So next I would be discussing about the manager round interview questions, like or what are questions I have encountered in the manager round. So first the most common question like why are you looking out for a change? So I have given my own answer, like I am having some personal problem, to be honest. So I have explained him the same, like I am having concern with the location. So that is the reason I am looking out for a change. So the next question was like, what are your current roles and how comfortable will you be in your new role? So I said like, as far as it is challenging, I would enjoy the thing, like I would enjoy the role, and I would love to do a new role because I'm doing the same role from the past 1 year or 1.5 years. So do you follow Agile? Explain what is it. So I will explain him the entire Agile process, like what is Agile, what is Scrum, what are the different peoples like Scrum Master, what is PO, what is Agile Train, Express, and everything, like what all day-to-day activities we do, on what all Agile ceremonies I do attend, what is story, like how do we slice stories, how do we rate stories, like how do we point stories, what is retrospective, what is sprint review, and all such things I have explained him. So the next question was like, what is your expectation? Here the question was related to the salary. So I have given him my picture, like with the figure what I liked. So he was okay with that. Then the question was like, will you join us even if you get more salary than we offer? So this is a bit tricky question. So I said yes, because I love to work with L and T. So I know like what kind of work culture is there at L and T, and to be honest, I just faked few points to impress him there. So he was okay with that as well. So later on, like I got a call from HR, like the fixed, like they have given me the salary which I have told the number to in the manager round itself. So it was around 80% hike on my current salary. I was a bit happy with that also. So with this, I would like to conclude the interview questions and interview process of L and T Infotech. If you like the video, please do subscribe and share this video to other technical forums as well, so that this may be helpful to someone who is looking out for similar kind of videos. And thank you for watching.